you think you're a bad person?
When you wake up every day, thousands of people just telling you to kill yourself, I hate you, I wish you would die. Fuck it. If you want me to be the bad guy, like, I'll be the bad guy.
Dom Gabriel is a creator and reality TV personality known for his charismatic presence and authenticity.
Rising to fame on hit reality shows like The Mole and Perfect Match, he's captivated audiences with his relatable charm and creative talents.
How are you balancing your mental health?
I've genuinely been dealing with depression and anxiety and balancing my fucking meds and my brain chemistry since I was a fucking kid. But every time I do these shows, motherfuckers still bring up shit. Somebody goes on a podcast and lies about me or slanders me, or people need to get their views up and they just make up shit about me. When my mom starts getting messages and messaging me about comments and certain things, that's when it pisses me off. How do I correct that?
We find it very interesting that the majority of you who watch and listen to this show aren't yet subscribed to our channels across Spotify, Apple, YouTube. It would mean the world to us if you can do us that small kindness. It allows us to continue to bring on amazing guests week after week and continue to provide you with amazing value and content. It's the only thing we'll ever ask of you. If you can hit that follow or subscribe button, it would mean the world to us. Thank you so much and enjoy the episode.
Dom, welcome back to Gents Talk.
Thanks for having me back, man.
This is exciting. You've done some awesome, amazing stuff since the last time we talked, which was almost about a year and a half ago now.
Yeah, when that was like, it was like September?
Yeah, almost like end of summer, maybe 2022.
Yeah, it was like August.
Yeah, it was a while.
Damn, yeah, it was a minute ago. Damn.
Yeah, but you've been up to so many cool things, and I think one of the things that I want to know is what you've been up to since the last time we talked. At that point, you had come off the Perfect Match the first time because you were on it a second time, and the conversation was around how you had experienced a lot of blowback because you were just being authentic and vulnerable, and people were laughing at you, but at the same time, people were celebrating you because you were authentic and vulnerable, and that part was important to you. Fast forward a year and a half later, sort of what's happening in the world of Dom?
Man, I'm just like, first and foremost, I think I'm just grateful that I'm even able to still kind of do the things I'm doing at the level that I'm at. It's like this weekend was like crazy. It was like back-to-back premieres. I went to the Wicked premiere. I was at the Gladiator premiere, Gladiator 2, a couple days ago. So it's like, I'm just grateful that I'm able to do all these things. But I think it's just, I don't know, so much has happened. Like, I think immediately after I saw you, I left to go film season 2 of Perfect Match. And I think that was like probably one of the most negative experiences I've had. Not like, I love Netflix, love the production, love Connect, love everything. I think it was just like the fan reaction when it came out afterwards.
Why?
I think it was like, I got like sort of like a villain edit. You know, I think a lot of the people kind of was like, it went from being people putting me on this pedestal for the first season of being like, oh, he's this sweet guy, lover boy, whatever like that. But I got fucked over so many times that inevitably, you know, it's like if you get cheated on, the next relationship that you're in, you're probably not going to be as vulnerable. You're probably going to...
Yeah, you're a little more closed off.
You're going to be a little bit more closed off. You're going to be more wary about things. And I think people took that side of me and was like, well, you changed, you're not the same. And it's like, well, that's called growth. You know what I mean? That's called setting boundaries. But I got this villain edit. I got a lot of backlash for it. But I think it was something that I needed, though, to be honest, in hindsight. I think because being on reality TV and being in social media, I think you become such a people pleaser, you know? Because like your entire world just revolves, basically your value is how much people value you. You know what I mean? How many people like you.
It's all external.
It's all external,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And, you know, I remember having a conversation with my mom about it, and she was like, very blunt, she was like, you care more about what these people think about you than like your family and your friends think about you. You know what I mean? And she's like, I get that's like kind of like your career in a sense, but they don't know you. And I think when I went on the show and I saw people just flip on me like that over like no evidence, I didn't do anything, just over words. Or like, this person made up the story, I knew Dom was a bad person. They just flipped on me, and it just made me realize like it was like two extremes of being so loved and being so hated. And it made me realize like I like this none of this is real. You know what I mean? Like none of this is like, it just made me think that.
What people are perceiving from watching you on a show is only a fraction of reality.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like, it's a small, it feels like the entire world's crumbling on you, but it's such a small, little niche group of people. And like, it's always the negative that are the loudest, and you gotta treat the love the same way you treat the hate. Like the people that hate you don't know you, the people that love you don't know you. You know what I mean? You just kind of have to. I've just become so. I don't want to say numb, but like numb to perception at this point, where it's like whatever you think of me, I can't change that, and I don't want to change that.
How has that affected you sort of daily? Like knowing that you've kind of had this almost fall from grace where you said you were loved, and then you've got the suddenly all this hate, and you kind of have to go like, I'm not we're not as good as we think we are, we're not as bad as we think we are, we're somewhere in the middle, but your perception of me is not real.
Yeah.
Like that I feel like that could probably really weigh down on you.
It did. I mean, it was probably the hardest summer I've ever had, and thank God for my best friend Harry. He was on the show with me, and he was getting just as much hate as I got. And I think it was like one of those things where like I said, it feels like the entire world's crumbling down on you. Like when you wake up every day to like thousands of people just telling you to kill yourself, or like, I hate you, I wish you would die, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's hard for you to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
I can't believe people would say that.
But it's like you learn that it's just projection. You know what I mean? What I learned is like, nobody when they're happy and is like living a good life feels the need to comment negativity
On someone else.
You know what I mean? Like I've never once, even if I see something I don't like, I don't feel the need to let the world know. I can just keep on scrolling and be like, hey, wasn't a fan of that video, and just keep on scrolling. I didn't have to let that person know. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that's just that person living their life. That has no effect over what I do day to day. So I just try to flip that in reverse, and like, no matter whatever that person says about me isn't going to change what I'm doing tomorrow. But there was a point where it was like just beating me down over the head. And, thank God for, like I said, my best friend Harry and one of my other close friends, Paria, who's just like saved my life. She was just by my side the entire time. So
if I was a fly on the wall when you were sort of in that zone, just constantly getting all that negativity, what would I have seen? Like what version of Dom exists at that point?
Damn, it was like manic almost. It was like, like, have you ever been like, when it gets so bad that it is just funny?
You laugh at the craziness of it?
Yeah. It's like, wow, like this is so bad that it's like surreal. Like
this can't be real.
Yeah, like me and Harry, like I was in Canada at the time, and Harry was in LA, and I was like, when the show came up, we were FaceTiming each other, and we were like, this is brutal. And then just like we would get comments that were just so, it was like, Jesus. And we would just be on the phone just hysterically laughing at just how soul crushed like we were together, to the point where it was like, and then you eventually you almost kind of believe it when people say bad things about you so much. You kind of think to yourself like, maybe I am a bad person. So you find yourself like, it starts being like you're down on yourself and you're broken, you feel like a victim, and then it flips to like this hysterical manic phase where you're like jokerish, like you're laughing at it, and then you like lean into it and you're like, fuck it, if you want me to be the bad guy, like I'll be the bad guy, and I found myself doing that a bit, and it was like freeing almost, to like, it got to a point where it's freeing to have people hate me. It was like, I don't have to I want to piss you off now, but then it was like, then you go down that path, it's like, I don't like being that guy either.
Yeah, it's not at your core.
So It was like one extreme of like people pleasing, and then this other extreme of like, if you hate me, like I want to make it even worse. You know what I mean? If this is consuming your life, good. Like I want, you know what I mean? Like I'm embracing that supervillain form, and then eventually it was like, I don't want to be that person. And then eventually, yeah, it balances itself out. It's like a pendulum, you know what I mean? It swings this way, swung back this way, and then it came back. But it was a dark point.
Do you think you're a bad person?
I don't think I'm a bad person, but I think everybody's complex, you know what I mean? Everybody makes mistakes, and sometimes it's like you are the bad person in a situation, you know what I mean? But that doesn't like encapsulate who you are as a person in whole.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like if you're in a relationship and it's just not working, that person could be the greatest person, but it's just not there. You have to be the bad person to be like, this just isn't working.
Yeah.
And now you're the villain in your story, and maybe you didn't handle it the best way, but that doesn't define who you are as a person. It doesn't mean that that's who you are in every relationship.
Yeah.
That's just in that moment. So I feel like everybody's complex. Nobody's inherently like 100% good. You know what I mean? Like you've eaten animals, you've consumed some sort of product that you shouldn't consume, you killed a spider that was minding its business. You know what I mean? It's like no one's like just a pure.
Yeah.
It's hard to find someone who's just like a pure, genuine soul. Everybody cusses, everybody swears,
Yeah.
We're all complex. There's a gray area.
I was thinking about this the other day, actually. I'm starting to finally come to terms with the concept that I am the villain in someone else's story.
Yeah.
In one of my past relationships, I'm the bad guy. And if that person decided to make a film about their life, my role in that film is the villain.
Yeah.
But in my current relationship, in my relationship with friends and family, I'm not the villain. And it's that reminder of, sometimes, to your point, you show up in certain ways at different times of your life, and you're not, that one moment does not encapsulate your entire being.
Exactly. It's kind of, have you seen like 500 Days of Summer?
No.
So like 500 Days of Summer is like a rom-com,
Yeah.
but it's like a very it's a rom-com, but it's kind of like has like a not so fun ending.
Okay.
And people often take the side of Tom, because Tom is like, you view, the movie is viewed in the perception of like Tom's view of the entire relationship, and it's almost as if the girl was love bombing him and tricked him or whatever like that. But a lot of people are like, but if you flip it, you look through Summer's eyes, the woman, it's like Tom was making her out to be more in his head than she was. Like she kept on telling him, I just want to be friends, but he was like, we're not friends. Like we're like, I want more.
Right.
But you can't put your expectations onto somebody. And also on the flip side, she shouldn't have let him on like that. You know what I mean? So it's like neither are right, but neither of them are bad. They're just, in their own stories, they were handling the situation how they needed to handle it.
There's always three sides of a story: your side, my side, and the actual truth of what happened.
Yeah.
And all that gets complicated and complex and manipulated, and how you tell it. And if there's a certain amount of time that elapses between when you've told the story and the next time you tell it, things have changed. And then, I feel like it's a common thing, and relationships are tricky that way. And I'm curious, as you're talking about the, coming off the show and sort of getting that negativity, and like the arc in this story is incredible, because when you and I first talked, you were sort of like, the word I'm looking for is humble, because you were sitting in the studio with me and you were just like, honestly, I'm just glad that I even got the opportunity to do this and this. And then you go and you do the second season, you come off the show, and now you're kind of like, you're almost like a seasoned veteran, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, shit's hit the fan here.
Yeah.
How are you balancing your mental health in all of these things? Because most guys in this situation would do what we've been told to do for many, many years, which is just shut up, man up, be quiet. That's not who you are.
Yeah.
How are you balancing your mental health in this process?
Honestly, for a long time, it was just like, it was that. I reverted back to just like, keep myself busy. I was like, just do everything you can. Go to every event, every opportunity. Keep creating content, keep making music, keep putting out, just like keep trying to make opportunities happen, and kind of avoid what's happening at the core, like what's happening around you. But then it was like, I remember it was crazy. I went to this Becky G concert, and I don't really go out. Like I don't go out to like public things, and not because of like, oh, I think I'm like a celebrity. I'm just an introverted person. Like I'd be in the crib watching anime, playing Call of Duty. Like I'm chilling. You know what I mean? Like contrary to belief. But I had some things that I do with some brands, and I had to go to a couple concerts. I go to this Becky G concert, and I was like leaving the arena, and there were so many people just showing me so much love. And there was like this little girl that asked to like take a photo with me, and she was like, I was like, oh, we were talking, and then she said she was like, her sister doesn't like me because her sister saw like a podcast and she likes this other girl or whatever like that. And like this little girl was like defending me. And like it kind of got me like choked up a bit of like, you don't really realize like, because I've always made content, like I've always made TikToks. Before the shows, I was making content, I was making TikToks, and it was always based around, my message has always been, when you're silent, you deny others the benefit of knowing that they're not alone. So if I'm dealing with my mental health, I always spoke about it. I always do things that are relatable. Or I'm just goofy and I dress up and I just want to make people laugh. Because if I can make one person laugh a day, I feel like I've contributed to society.
By the way, I love the Harry Potter content. My fiance and I send that to each other all the time. Like, it's so funny.
But like, it's like the reason why I do this, because like I know that puts a smile on people. I get so many messages that are like, yo, I just spent the night, I just had the hardest day and I just went through all your reels just having a blast. So it's like, but when that little girl was like, oh, I had to defend you or whatever like that, it just made me kind of go back to like why I did this in the first place.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, because it did go from like, I was like this naive, humble person entering this world to like just being like hardened and just like, I do my work every single day and I go home and I play video games. I don't want to talk to anyone. Like, I want to just live my life to that experience, and then being like, okay, that, and like, if I told you the date of when that happened, like that was a date that like I started doing the Harry Potter shit again. Was like 2 days after that. I like went out, bought a bunch of shit, and I like made more. And I started doing more Harry Potter shit, more skits, more stuff like that.
Do you feel like you've lost a part of yourself in this journey because of all the negativity, the criticisms, the challenges of constantly being in front of people, having to people please, all of these things?
Yeah, I've definitely, it's crazy. I saw like, somebody made a video and there's like a photo of me from like the mall. And dude, like I just look so happy. like my eyes were just different. You know what I mean? Like it was just like, I was just so excited for everything to come, where it's like, now it's like, there's so many days where I'm like, I'd be relieved if I got fucking canceled. You know, I could just be done. Cause it's just like being in the public eye, it just sucks sometimes, you know?
What is it that people don't understand about the hardships of that? You know, from the outside, when people hear or see someone who's constantly in the public eye, on a Netflix show, being invited to movie premieres, living basically the good life.
I think it's different. It might be, I think I'm a little bit more different when it comes to it, because I tell people a lot of times of like, when people have a certain perception of me, if they're like, because I like, sometimes I go out and I have anxiety, so I don't talk a lot. You know what I mean? Even on the shows, you watch a lot of things, like people are like, you seem off. Like it's like, because I just like, my anxiety was kicking in. I didn't have my meds. Like I didn't like, and people are like, what, you have that? And I'm like, my entire platform has been built off of me talking about my depression that I've dealt with since I was like 16 years old. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you go back and like I'm repeatedly, at least every other day, I'm talking about my battles with depression. Like that's a constant thing for me. So I think for me, it's different because like it's not a clout thing. It's not a hopping on a wave. It's like, I've genuinely been dealing with depression and anxiety and balancing my fucking meds and my brain chemistry since I was a fucking kid. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's like, but I realize I can't, people that don't want to see that side of you don't care to see that side of you. You know what I mean? Even though it's like, if you go on my content, I'm repeatedly talking about my mental health, my struggles, and like, I'm like, I'd make a joke about it, you know what I mean? But like, what else am I going to do? I'm not going to sit there and like, you know, lecture people.
Sure. The your battle with depression, anxiety, you know, we touched on that the last time we talked. I'm curious where you are in that journey right now.
I feel like I'm better. I feel like in a sense of like being able to manage it. And in a sense of just like I said, I feel like naturally I do deal with that stuff, but I want to please people. So like I go out of my way. I used to go out of my way a lot to please a lot of people. But I think now I've made, I have to prioritize myself as much as I want to make people laugh.
It's hard to do that
every day, but it's like there has to be times where I prioritize myself, and there has to be, it's like I'm learning of like, at the same time I also have to learn to like stand up for myself. Like a lot of times I'm like, I'm just gonna mind my business and do my thing. But like, for example, with that interaction that I had with that girl, it was like part of the reason that people feel that way is because I let people say shit about me and like let the narrative just keep on building on the opposite side. So I'm learning how to like stand up for myself. I'm learning how to speak up. I'm learning to not people please and prioritize myself, which is just an ongoing thing. Like it always changes. It was like before all the shows when I was just working in a warehouse, blue collar worker in Toronto, being a bouncer, it was like I was in a relationship, I went to therapy, and I found myself and I was good. And then I got thrust into this world, and it's like you're starting from ground zero because this is a whole different.
It's a way different playing field.
It's a whole different playing field. So now it's like I gotta go back to therapy. I gotta rebuild myself back up, and then it's like then you get to like you do another show, you get to another level, and it's like okay, now I'm back down to square one. You know what I mean? So it's like, and then you gotta balance friendships. You're not there. Like I've lost a lot of friends because people just don't get it. You know what I mean? Or
what don't they get? When you say they just don't get it, what is it?
I think it's like they don't understand. It's like that I have the mental health shit that I'm dealing with, like my own issues on top of like this world is very like most of it is very last minute. It's like I didn't know I was going to be going to the Gladiator premiere until like 4 or 5 days beforehand, you know what I mean? And I might have already had something I was going to do with a friend, or they had an engagement with them, and it's like, well, I can't. I got to call us off because I got to do this. Like, this work came up, you know what I mean? And
so that friends don't necessarily see what you're doing as work. They
exactly.
see it as you just blowing them off for a good time.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like you lose a lot of friends that way. I still have like my close friends, but yeah, friends, relationships, dating, just it's a never ending like balancing act.
What's something that you would want to say to those people, those friends, the people in your life that you maybe haven't had the opportunity to say to them, to maybe help them understand where you're coming from a little more?
I think I would just like, you know, I'm a fuck up. Like I'd be like, you know, I've always been a fuck up. Like I've never been good at managing shit since I was like a kid. So like I was a fuck up since we were fucking like 10. What'd you think was gonna happen when you know what I mean? So, but it's like, but I would just be like, you know, I love you. You know what I mean? It's like when it comes down to it, like I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I'm always gonna be there. But it's like I just don't. I'm also not really good at like communicating with people now.
Why is that?
I think it just comes with like the anxiety of shit. It's like I'm just not.
Well, I also imagine there's just a lot of people trying to ask you for your time.
Yeah, and it's like and it sounds so fucking bougie or like stuck up, but it's like that's like I have managers now, so it's like sounds like dudes like I just can't.
Yeah, it's just too much.
It's just too much sometimes, and it's like that sounds so pretentious. Some like, you know what I mean? Even me saying it, I want to like throw up in my fucking mouth, but it's like yeah, a lot of shit just fucking happens. You know what I mean? I don't know why it happens. I go to every fucking event. I was at the Gladiator event. Like I don't know why the fuck I'm here. Like what have I done to deserve being here? You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Like I just gotta ride it out.
Do you find that self-talk, that why am I even here? Like, why was I invited to this type of thing? Do you find that kind of self-talk hinders you?
Nah, bro. I think it can hinder you if you let it hinder you. But I honest to God, people are always like, don't talk like that, don't talk like that. Like, stop talking like that. But I'm like, why are any of us here? Why are any of us here that are not part of this movie? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, but it keeps me grounded. It's like, I know who I am. I'm not saying that like I don't deserve the things that I've worked for. I'm not saying I don't deserve the platform that I have, because people have tried to tell me like, oh, but you got this platform just off reality TV. It's like, no. Like, I was doing content creation far before.
Yeah. Like,
I had 500,000 followers going into the mall. Like, that was just me in my room doing, like, just talking, making up skits. Like, I can, you know what I mean? Like, I put the hours in.
Yeah.
Outside of that shit, it wasn't just handed to me. But so I was like, I've worked for the things that I worked for, but I think getting into spaces and being like, why am I here? That the way that I'm just like, I'm always grateful. And I think that keeps me grateful. It keeps me humble. It keeps me like, when I'm in those rooms, I think that's part of the reason why I keep on getting invited back to those rooms, ironically, is because when I'm talking to people, I'm like, I give everybody flowers that I meet and I talk to, because I'm like, I don't hold myself to I don't think I'm above anyone. You know what I mean? So when I'm in these rooms and I see people, I'm going to be the person who's going to go out of their way to give you your flowers. Like, I met like Mark Phillips from RDC World, right? I've been watching him since I was like a fucking kid. I think he's like the fucking GOAT of YouTube. Like, he's so funny, he's so creative, and like loves anime. He's black, he's a black creator. And a lot of times people are so stuck up their ass, they don't want to just like go over and be like, yo, like, I'm a fan of you, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you don't know who I am, but I sure as hell, I just want to say I'm a fan, you know what I mean? And just like, just kissing his ass, you know what I mean? And it's not for no benefit other than like, bro, I'm just a fucking fan.
You just want to say hello, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm entering these rooms as like, yeah, I don't deserve to be here, but I'm a fan of everyone who is here. And I think, I talked to him and then he's like, yo, you gotta come to the Dreamcast, you gotta come to our event. And I'm walking around and I meet like the creators of Call of Duty.
Oh, no way.
You know what I mean?
That's
and then
cool.
Talking to them and be like, yo, I'm playing the game, I love the game, blah, 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 blah. I think it keeps me humble, keeps me grounded, keeps me like, I think it keeps me happy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like in those spaces, you know what I mean? Because I'm just like, I'm never like, ugh, you know what I mean? I'm just like, oh, fuck, this is crazy. What do you do? Like, I'm like a kid in a fucking candy store at these events. I'm like, oh, what do you do? Yeah. You're here. I know I'm not supposed to be here, but like, what do you do? Like, do you do some shit? Like, you know what I mean? So it kind of like, because I think at the end of the day, it's like, I saw this quote that was like, we're all just kids growing up. You know what I mean? Like, our parents are like, this is their first time being a fucking parent. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, this is gone through life. It's all of our first times going through life.
Yeah.
So it's like, there should be this sort of like childlike wonder when you're experiencing new shit, but everybody wants to be fucking cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I feel like we lose that as we get older.
Yeah, you lose that sense of wonder, but I think the sense of like, of me thinking I don't deserve, it's like when you're a kid and you go to fucking Disney and you're like, what the fuck? Like everything is still magical.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you still believe that dude dressed up like fucking Shrek or something. You think that's Shrek for real? You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, there's something that's like pure about that. You know what I mean? And you're like, I want to take this kid, gotta go back to Disneyland again. You know what I mean? Because you could just see the joy in his face. And I feel like that's how I am whenever I go to these events. I'm just so happy to be there. I'm like, I don't deserve to be here, but fuck, it's fucking Denzel. You know what I mean? It's Denzel, bro. Like, this is fucking insane. Like, so.
How do you protect the little boy inside?
I don't know. I think I'm naturally a dumbass, though. So, I'm naturally just a dumbass. I'm just the fucking golden retriever at the end of the day of like, I'm easily entertained by shit. That might just be my ADHD as well. I'm just like, I'm so entertained by the simplest shit.
I hope you know that doesn't make you a dumbass.
But like, just in a sense of just like, I don't know. I feel like, I think I credit to like my family and my environment, I feel like, you know, I've never expected much, you know what I mean? Like my mom could gift me like a fucking apple as a kid and I'd be like, holy fuck, like I need this. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Been waiting for this apple all
yeah,
day.
you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm gonna crush this apple when the opportunity arises. Like, thank you, mom. Like this, I'm good. Like, and I think, you know, you grow up and we have these expectations of things or these standards, which like you should have, but you also gotta appreciate the fact that we're just able to just live life. You know what I mean? I think that's something I learned this summer of like everything was so down bad and so hard that I had to just like, I call them like lowercase W's, you know what I mean? In therapy, it's like grateful for the small things. So when everything was so bad, it was like, bro, I was just grateful for my best friend, Harry. Like we were just like, yo, let's go for a hike. Let's come back. Let's order some food. Let's play some Call of Duty. We were playing this game, It Takes Two. And like, we were just so locked into that game and we weren't checking our phones. Like we were just like dead set on being this game. And like, bro, that was like, this summer, like that alone was like the best time I ever had. It was just me and my boy just playing video games. And it was like, again, you feel like a kid again. Like, fuck, I get to play these fucking video games with my boy. Like I haven't done this in so long, bro. Like we're locked in. Like
Playing Call of Duty for me is also like my way to like get myself out of whatever I'm doing.
yeah,
Like, I'm like, I need a mental break. I message my boys. I'm like, who's running? We all hop on. We play some Warzone, and like we'll do that for 2-3 hours sometimes. And I'm like,
yeah.
I needed that. I just needed that like break.
Yeah, bro. I think people are in such a rush to like grow up or go to the next level that they forget like just have a moment to just be a fucking kid and have fun. Like be like, I think internet culture fucks shit up a bit where it's like, oh, like you're doing this at your grown age or blah, blah, you should be doing this, you should have this. Or, you know, even like when I do the skits and I dress up or like I'll dress up like fucking Taylor Swift for Halloween, like whatever. Like it's fun. It's funny. Like it's like, it makes people laugh. Like it's like, so I think it's just important to just like embrace that, like that inner child, just make him happy. Just do some fucking goofy shit for yourself and just keep that kid alive.
When was the last time you did something for that kid?
Dude, every day, dude. Like if I'm, I'm just like I said, like just the smallest shit. Like I was on PS5 and I saw that like Kingdom Hearts was like in the PS5 library and I was like, say less. Bought that, locked in. I just started playing Kingdom Hearts. I hadn't played since I was like 13. And then I bought like the replica sword from like the game, like all the time. I think that's like an anime kid thing too. It's like you're just always growing up. It was like you were always like kind of like the outcast or bullied for like your interests or like having sort of like these niche interests. So like you just never gave a fuck what anyone think. And I think I just carried that into my adulthood of like, oh, I like this thing. I've already got bullied for it when I was a kid. Like now I have adult money. I'm gonna fucking enjoy it.
Yeah,
you know what I
go
mean?
spend it.
But yeah, I think it's important for everyone to do that. I think people get so caught up on like being grown or like dress. Oh, you gotta dress mature. It's like have a day to put on a fit that you always wanted to as a kid. You know what I mean? Like
I'm wondering, you know, as you're speaking, you're in an industry now where it's all about perception. It's all about how people see you, the amount of likes, comments, engagement, your following. Were you at the premiere? Did you get that job? Are you doing this and that? How do you balance, I guess maybe the question I want to ask first is, does Dom have a public-facing persona? Like, have you had to develop one to protect yourself?
nah, I'm not. I don't have the focus to do that. But I think like
I don't even think that's a bad thing.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I think everybody has like, everybody's complex around anyone that you talk to. It's like I talk to my friends back home completely different than I talk to people that I meet over here. And I don't think that's like code switching or anything. It's just like those are people that I grew up with. We have a different way of talking. It's like,
Yeah.
if I go and I go to Toronto, I'm like, yeah, that's fam. You know what I mean? Like, wagwan, like that's like, what are you saying? You know what I mean? Like there's a certain lingo that pops out when I'm in Toronto talking to my friends from back home. Then it's gonna pop out then when I'm talking to a fucking producer. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's you have different stages of your life where you met people and that's the person that you kind of go back to, and that's not a bad thing. That's just how we are as humans.
So what would I need to know if I didn't know who you were, if I didn't have that conversation with you on our first episode together, and this is our very first interaction? What would I need to know about Dom in order to understand the man in front of me?
Need to know? Nothing, brother. It's so unpredictable. But I think it's like, again, like with the hate and any negativity that I always get, it's never about necessarily people's perception of who I am, or like characters of like, or like aesthetically, or anything that's like external.
Right.
It always comes down to like the shit that like affects me or pisses me off is when somebody attacks like my character or who I am, like morally, and like that, and then in that thus bleeds over to like my family. So it's like when you attack my character and who I am morally, it in a sense bleeds into like people are then going to talk about my upbringing. How was he raised? People for the longest time were like, oh, like black man, like he's mixed, like his mom must be white, he must have been raised in a white house, because, you know, certain ways I talk or I carry myself, or the fact that I paint my nails or I'm comfortable in my femininity. It's like, that's not traditional black household. So it's like, he must have had a white, my mom's black, my mom just doesn't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My mom's a good mom that never judged anything that I did and let me express myself creatively however I wanted to.
Yeah.
So that's the shit that's when it starts to piss me off and it starts to affect me negatively, is when you attack me morally, then it bleeds over. But if you could look at me aesthetically and be like, this guy doesn't give a fuck what people thinks about him and how he carries himself. It's only when it attacks me morally and then it bleeds into my family that pisses me off. And it's like, how do I handle this? Because it's affecting my mom, my little brother, and my family. That's when it starts getting messy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when people see me, if you don't know me, it's like, I feel like you can look at me, have a conversation with me, and be like, this guy is just living life. Like, I feel like I'm just a golden retriever, dude. I'm just a dog. I see something, I go after it until like, and then when I get that, I don't know what to do with that thing. I'm just doing shit. So it was like, when I was making content, every day I was just like making content, making skits, whatever like that. And then I got attention, I got invited to go to a place and I get followed. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with all this. I'm just keep on doing it.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? But there's no sense.
You're just going with it.
Just going with it, dude. There's literally, I think you could have any conversation with me and be like, if someone were to ask you, after our two conversations, where do you think Dom's end goal is? You'd be like, I
couldn't tell you.
You could.
No.
I couldn't tell you. I don't fucking know, brother. Like, so whenever someone's like, oh, like this guy's calculated. No, I'm not. I'm really not.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's just, but like, I come to terms with that, but I've like come to terms with that, and I'm prideful of that aspect of me that like, I'm down on myself, but then I can easily find the joy in the simplest shit.
Yeah.
Which like at certain times in my life, I hated that. I hate the fact that I get distracted, or like I'm so like comfortable with shit sometimes. But I also like, when shit gets so bad, I'm so happy that I can just like, bro, Shake Shack has a new burger. I'm pumped. Like, I'm like, oh, that just changed the trajectory of my life right here. You know what I mean? Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like again, like I keep on bringing up Harry, my best friend, but it's like, there's so many times when like, bro, I feel like that's why our best friends were the same. We're like just these big ass golden retrievers. We're just so easily impressed with shit sometimes, where we're like we could be so down on shit, and then we go out and we're like, fuck, like we have some Popeyes and be like, fuck, that changed the game right there. Like, the boys needed this. That changed everything right here.
Honestly, it all comes down to a good meal.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
everything.
A good meal, or like, you know, you come up on something, like you go shopping, you get a new fit, or even you just see something that's like funny as shit on TikTok. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, for me, it's a meal. This morning we had a shitty breakfast, and it's ruined my morning.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I got to get myself back up. Like,
yeah,
it's bad.
Exactly. ASAP. Get another coffee from somewhere. You know.
Did the reactions, I want to go back to the show a moment.
Yeah.
Did the reactions from the show bleed into sort of the criticisms around morality, your family, that kind of thing? Because it sounds like that's where it really started to bother you.
Yeah, and I think that's when it starts affecting my mom, when my mom starts getting messages and messaging me about comments and certain things, it was like...
That's not cool.
It wasn't. And there was like, I remember there was a single mother on the show, right? And she was dating my best friend. And I remember telling my best friend, like, you gotta take this seriously, that she's a single mother, there's a kid involved. And I came from a single parent home, and I said to him, I was like, you gotta be careful, there's a kid involved, you gotta take this seriously, because that kid, it's gonna affect that kid growing up. Like seeing relationships that her mom is in is gonna affect her. And it's like, people took that as me saying that my mom had a revolving door of men in her life, which like is not the fucking case.
Yeah.
I was simply saying that when you're in a relationship with someone and there's a kid involved, that kid is gonna see that shit, especially when it's like you're on TV, you know what I mean? That's just me being a friend, holding my homeboy accountable and shit. You know what I mean?
Which is what we want more men to do to other men.
You want your men, but people take that and they're like, well, he's saying that his mom had a revolving, and it's like, then my mom's watching, she's like, why are people saying this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which can't be easy for her.
Yeah, it can't be, and like that's when it pisses me off, when you take some shit and then try to spin, and then it's like, and like nobody in reality TV is gonna defend you or anyone, you know what I mean? So it's like you have to defend yourself, but then you defend yourself, and it becomes like, well, why are you so defensive? How do you prove that? Do you have receipts? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
what kind of receipts would you want?
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, so it's like when it gets into that field, it gets tricky. But even that, like for me, it was like, I did the show so fast, so I never got an opportunity to kind of like fully go through every single emotion of feeling that. Right. So it was like the mole came out, and then I didn't really get to feel everything from the mole, and because like 4 months afterwards, Perfect Match came out. I didn't really get to feel the whole thing because Perfect Match came out 4 months after that. I filmed the second season, so I never really got to go through the full cycle of like feeling like the joy and then the sadness and the negativity, and how do I feel about that negativity in hindsight, and how do I correct that? You know what I mean? But I feel like now it's been so far removed, and I'm like, how do I correct that? I just don't do more reality TV. That's how we fix that problem.
So is that a real solution for you? Like, I'm wondering what's the path forward here in terms of like, if this is bothering you and it sort of really puts you in a bad place mentally, emotionally, and it hurt your family this much, what is the solution to all that?
I'm trying to think of like an allegory. I don't know why I'm trying to, like I'm some sort of like spiritual person. I'm trying to find some like story allegory for this. But it's kind of like the definition of insanity, right? It's like you keep on doing the same thing over and over again and not getting the same result. Like the problem is like you know what I mean? You have to change something. So it's like if I keep on doing these shows and I don't like the perception, like every time I do these shows, somebody goes on a podcast and lies about me or slanders me, or people need to get their views up and they just make up shit about me. It's like if I want to negate that now, I don't want to like talk about it. I hate talking about it over and over again or bringing it up. Like if you look at my content, when the second season came out, I made one video about it. And I was like, I'm good. I spoke about it. I did it. I joked about it. Now I'm moving on.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers still bring up shit from like season. I filmed that shit 2 years. Why are we still talking?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, in order for me to negate having to deal with that shit, I just don't do it. I just like, it's like if I go into that room, right? And every time I go into that room, somebody punches me in the face, right?
Why are you still going in the room?
Why the fuck am I still going to that room?
Yeah.
I'd rather be here talking to you. I'm not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it sounds like an obvious thing, harder in reality to do, obviously.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it is tied into, you know, you want to continue to grow your career. You still want to continue to grow these opportunities. And sometimes that takes you through a pathway that unfortunately creates tension in your life, right?
Yeah.
You might lose friends. You might have situations where your family gets pulled into something. And I can empathize sincerely with you, because I can't imagine how hard it would be to have to make those kinds of decisions where you're trying to think, do I continue down the path of success, or do I say no to this because I need to protect the things that matter to me?
Yeah.
And that's not an easy place to be in.
It's not, but I think it's easy when you have people that believe in you. And I think especially when I took the second season, because I said no 3 times. And then, then the number, then there's like, the number made sense. And then there was like, again, that pressure, like if I do this, like stay relevant, you know what I mean? I'll have another show down the pipeline. I'm not going to worry about shit. And the pressure comes into you. And then it's like, now I have a team around me and I have friends who, look at me, like my management looks at me and they're like, you've gained more followers based off of your skits and your own content than you did during the course of these shows. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's a testament to like my creativity and the fact of like, I don't have to do,
you're not defined by these shows.
I'm like, I'm not defined. It's like, I come across people all the time. Like some people know me from reality, but there's like a large portion of people that know me from TikTok and Instagram. There's a large portion of people that know me as like the mental health guy, or people that know me as the Harry Potter guy, or people that know me as the Taylor Swift. There's so many things that I've been able to do creatively that I'm not just one thing. So it's like, I think me being able to finally have people that believe in me, that thus helps me believe into myself. And now it's like, now I have the numbers to prove it. It's like, again, it's like, why would I keep going to a room to get punched in the face, even though it might seem like the more successful thing to do is like take the punch in the face and just keep going? Or do I rather the low key simplicity of like just making some relatable comedic stuff, acting, making music, and just keeping low key and still like being able to like live my life? I think I like this side a little bit more.
Sounds like it's a little more peaceful.
It is. It's more peaceful, and it's like, again, it's like the same way people look at me and they're like, people probably look at me like, oh, why are you at the premiere? Like I had someone message me like, why are you at the Wicked premiere? Like, what did you do to get here? And it's like, because low key, I crush shit. You know what I mean? But like, you see shit on like Netflix and shit and like reality television, and like your perception, like, oh, when you're on those shows, that's when you're like popping. But I'm like, nah, like there's the world of creativity of creatives and creators in this industry is so vast that people are crushing shit. It's like some people, and there's a lot of actors. It's like, look at Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman isn't like a household name like Leonardo DiCaprio. That motherfucker crushes shit like that. He's been in the biggest movies like you wouldn't imagine. You know what I mean? But like, he stays in his lane. He minds his business. He just
does his thing and keeps going.
He just does his thing and he keeps going. You know what I mean?
So, I want to ask you. One more question here. If you can go back in time and talk to...
I want to do it. What?
Okay.
Okay, I said that, now complete the... I'm going to stand on business, whatever you say, that's my answer.
Okay. I was just going to ask you if you can go back in time and talk to a young Dom, right? To say to him, give him one piece of advice before he was going to start on the journey of these reality shows and all of these things. What would you say to him?
I'd honestly tell him not to do it. I'd tell him not to do it. As much as I'm grateful for everything, I do think at my core, I'm just like, I think I'm grateful for everything, but there's so many times where and again, I don't want to sound like, I'm like, oh, woe is me, like I'm so famous. It has nothing to do with that. I just think there's this beauty in simplicity, and it's like that idea of like people that live in like a rural area and they know their life trajectory. They work, they go to school, they complete school, they work on a farm, or they become an accountant, they have their 9 to 5, they get their girl or they get their husband. They work their job, they go home, live their life, they watch their TV show, they go on vacation 3-4 times a year, maybe more, whatever. Like, there's a beauty in that formula. That's why it's like it's been the standard. Like, that's the formula. You get your family, you get a nice car, get a nice crib, and then you're fucking set for the rest of your life. You raise your kids, and then you fucking head over. There's like this beautiful simplicity in that. Whereas like there's beauty in like what I do now, and I'm grateful for everything, but I think looking back at myself and who I was before this shit, I was so fucking happy. I think I was just so much happier working in a warehouse. As much as like in that moment I hated it, I think there was like, looking back at just going into a warehouse, not having to take any work home with me. I wasn't on social media. I wasn't on my phone. I worked my job, had a nice paying job that I worked hard for my position. I would go home, make some food with my girl, you know what I mean? Watch our TV show, go to sleep, wake up, do it again. Weekend, we have our nice little date night on Friday, chill on the weekends, catch up on her. It was like, there's something so fucking just sick about that, dude.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I just feel like I can't have, like, everything is always on. It's like, everything is so hectic. Like, everything is just always on the go, which some people thrive on. Some people love that. I'm grateful for it, and I'm in it now, so like I'm locked in.
Yeah.
But if I were to go back, I think that there is. You ever watch like Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, and like there's that scene when she's like going through all the different timelines and she meets like her like husband or whatever, and he goes in another life. I would have been so happy to just like fold laundry with you. Dog, I think about my ex all the time with that shit, bro. I'm like, in another life, I would have loved just fucking living that life with you. That would have been so fucking great. But here we are.
Brother, that's beautiful, man. That's like so eloquently put. And to say that there's beauty in simplicity, I think is something that a lot of us struggle with.
I think that's like human nature, right? It's like, it's the concept of like more.
Yeah.
You always need more. You go from public transit, like, I need a car. You get your car. You work, you gotta get better in position. Then you gotta get a house. You have a car and a house. Now you get in a relationship. You get in a relationship or you get kids. You need a bigger car. You need a bigger house. You have enough money. I need more money because I got a bigger house. I got a bigger car. I got to pay. It's just like, it's more and more and more until like you just have an excess, and then what? You know what I mean? But it's
You
like,
feel empty inside.
yeah. And then there's people that, you know, they're making whatever. I don't even know what, like 70s, 80s. I don't even know what the fucking economy is like anymore. What fucking suffices, but but they're getting by, and it's like they're good. They're good,
happy.
bro. They're happy, bro. Like, bro, I don't know. Like, I think when I was like a kid, and like, I think again, that's why like I'm just so grateful for the small shit, because I grew up. Like, I didn't have a lot, you know what I mean? So it's like when I did get something, I was just so grateful that I was able to get something. And I think that's what makes life beautiful. I think when you're given an abundance of shit, nothing becomes like special.
Yeah, everything becomes the same and you don't appreciate it as much. And I love that point about gratitude, because it's hard, you know, sometimes those lowercase W's, being grateful for those things is so important.
Yeah.
And Dom, I'm grateful for this conversation, brother. Thank you so much for chatting with me again. I'm glad to see that despite all of the challenges, you're still sort of holding true to yourself. And seeing you, like, again, I've only now seen you 3 times in the last 2 years. And sort of seeing the changes in your life, hearing you talk about them, and then seeing how you've kind of handled them going through it. The one thing that I can say just from a very sort of, you know, very far look is you seem to be the same person at your core. And I have a lot of respect for you for that. So thank you so much for coming through, man.
Thank you for having me, bro.
I appreciate you.
And it's always great talking to you, bro.
No, I appreciate
You
it.
have a very like calming energy.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody.